Hey guys, so welcome back to Criminology. I want you to take notice of the title of this presentation, Physical Deviance and the Social Acceptance of Body Shaming. You might say, but wait, Jocelyn, body shaming is not socially acceptable. What do you mean? I know it's not, but it's more acceptable than pretty much any other form of discrimination. People will more readily criticize and shame people who are considered fat than people who might be gay, black, or have a disability, which we'll talk about more later. Physical deviance includes more than body types. It also includes disabilities and people with genetic mutations. But for the purposes of this lecture, we'll just focus on how fat individuals are treated. Over this lecture, we'll discuss how people are treated if they're deemed too fat and go into differences between men and women. Then we'll talk about the reverse of that and go into how people are treated if they're deemed too skinny. Comparisons between men and women will be made there too. We'll connect this with what Good says in our textbook along with some other articles. After that, we'll discuss the consequences this shaming can have, and then we'll think of some ways we can be better and not perpetuate these harms. An article titled, "What Does Fat Discrimination Look Like?" states that fat bodies are culturally represented as inferior, deficient, ugly, and disgusting. It also says that fat individuals are more discriminated against than many other minority groups. One of the primary issues is that fat people are often blamed for their own condition. People assume it's their fault before hearing an explanation, so there's a huge victim-blaming mentality present. Fat people are often considered lazy, have low self-control, disgusting, bad examples for others, bad or immoral in some way, and that they don't have self-respect. Now, this is what the majority thinks of them. And Good says that the majority thinks that they have succumbed to temptation and hedonistic pleasure seeking, where other more virtuous and less self-indulgent persons have resisted. Victim blaming only makes matters worse. The moral dimension is an interesting one as well. The book states 3 aspects of how obesity is associated with being moral. They are, number 1, that the obese attract public scorn. Number 2, they are told that the scorn is deserved. And number 3, they come to accept this negative treatment as just. A lot of fat individuals internalize the shame and criticism from others, which can lead to many negative physical and mental consequences. Let's talk about some differences between men and women. I asked around to get opinions from some people on why they think fat women are more deviant than fat men. The answers I got were very interesting, and you can read them for yourself right here. One friend connected it to attractiveness, while another connected it to authority. Fat men are not as stigmatized because bigger stature is often associated with competence, authority, and leadership. However, fat women are associated more so with weakness, low self-control, and not taking care of themselves. Additionally, the body standards are very different. Quite frequently, women are held to a higher standard than men. So this dichotomy can create a lot of conflict. Now, can you be too skinny? I mean, technically, yes. I mean, lots of people struggle with gaining weight or being average weight and all the things like that. And of course, there are eating disorders that make it harmful for your body if you're underweight. But comments from others can make it difficult if you are actually struggling to gain weight. Like comments like, you should eat more, or why are you so small, or oh my goodness, I could pick you up. Things like that can be pretty harmful to someone who, knows that they're small and knows that it's harder for them to gain weight. I myself have dealt with comments like this from people because I'm what you would call a pretty skinny person. I'm not very tall either. So people have said that I'm small and that I should eat more and that I'm super skinny or that they could pick me up, all the things like that. And comments like that can make people feel really insecure about themselves. It can make them even more conscious about their weight. Now let's discuss some differences between skinny men and women. I asked people why they thought skinny men were considered more deviant than skinny women. I also included some quotes from an article called "The Skinny Guys That Can't Gain Weight No Matter What They Do." The author of the article says, while trying to improve one's physique can be a healthy goal for body and mind, research shows that young American men have an almost irrational desire to be visibly muscular, fueled by depictions of male bodies in media and stubborn notions of what kind of figure is the masculine ideal. This ideal also reaches into men's relationships. An individual that was interviewed said, "It's certainly true that, well, not a lot of girls have a thing for skinny guys. It's just a reality. Sometimes it's that I want to be taken a little more seriously when I meet people, and while I'm not going around trying to pick fights, I'd like to be able to hold my own in one." Skinny guys aren't taken as seriously as other guys who may have more weight on them, and as you can see, it might be harder for them to get dates. One of my friends said that skinny men break the social norm because they go against the ideal image of a fit, muscular man, but they also defy the tough, manly, and authoritative demeanor still associated with heavier men. The physical appearance and representation does not align with the norms put in place and therefore creates a sense of cognitive dissonance. This goes back to what we were saying about how heavier men are more respected and viewed as more capable and competent. Unfortunately, this mindset is not associated with skinny men. On the other hand, women who are skinny are not typically viewed as deviant because there are many institutions that push them to be skinny, such as the media, family, religion, and others. Gender clearly plays a role as well. It's pushed so much so that a psychiatrist named Suzanne Woolley stated that what we see is a steadily growing cultural bias. Almost no woman of whatever size feels she's thin enough. Since it's been pushed so much, it's not as deviant as, say, a skinny man would be. Body shaming can have numerous consequences. I've seen it myself too often. Our country is already a weight-obsessed one, so people fixating on their weight is all too common. It can also result in body dysmorphia, which means it's hard for people to tell what they actually look like. It can also produce higher likelihoods of depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, eating disorders, and even suicidal thoughts and ideation. So the consequences of body shaming are all too high to continue. So we should be better. So here are some points that I made in order for us to look within ourselves and be better and treat others with respect. So don't be quick to judge others. Think before you speak. Treat others with kindness. And don't assume you know what they're going through or why they look the way they do or whatever. It's really none of our business in the first place. So we should just treat others all with the same respect, regardless of how they look. We should all strive to leave the world a better place than how we found it. So in today's lecture, we went through the deviance of fatness, the deviance of skinniness, and the consequences of the shame and blame that go into both of those things. And we connected those concepts to our book and to other articles. And finally, we also discussed ways we can do better as a society and work on treating others the way you want to be treated. Anyway, thank you for listening, and until next time.